Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to take this moment to say thank you for listening to the Real ResQ podcast. It means a lot to me that you enjoy these stories as much as I do. Since the start of this podcast, we've had a lot of support from all over the world. It has been amazing. Now, we have companies joining our team that also want to say thank you for all that you are doing out there standing the watch. These companies are offering discounts on their products as a way to support the rescue community and those tuning into the Real ResQ podcast. Just go to therealresq.com, click on sponsors, and see these incredible offers for yourself. This episode of the Real ResQ podcast is brought to you by Breeze Eastern, the world's only dedicated helicopter hoist and winch provider. Axness, because when lives are at stake and conditions are challenging, clear communication is of the utmost importance. SR3 Rescue Concepts, because you don't know what you don't know. And Airwave, the Airwave Performance Mouthpiece, helping you to use breathing to your advantage. Breeze Eastern, they dedicate themselves to our helicopter rescue world. Since the very first helicopter rescue in November of 1945, Breeze Eastern has designed and manufactured superior rescue hoist solutions. While much of the technology and the unique mission requirements have changed over the past 75 years, their commitment to the rescuers, the operators, and those being rescued has not. Contact them today by visiting them at breeze-eastern.com. The Axness PNG wireless ICS system can bring cutting-edge wireless intercommunication system technology to any aircraft. The PNG system can be fully integrated into an existing ICS system or can be carried on and off as a mobile base station. They can go anywhere at any time on any aircraft. Plus, with the strongest and most robust waterproofed handheld in the market, this system can take a hit and keep working. Their wireless intercom systems are designed to enhance situational awareness through improved communication capability. This system brings superior noise-canceling technology to eliminate rotor wash and engine noise from your ICS. The Axness PNG wireless system is currently deployed in more than 1,800 public safety, air ambulance, and search and rescue aircrafts worldwide. I have personally used the Axness system in 4 different countries and on 5 different airframes. It is awesome. If you want more information, contact them today at axness.com. That's AXNES.com. You just make sure you tell them Quinny sent me. SR3 Rescue Concepts is a training company that can help your helicopter training. They train daytime, nighttime, aerial firefighting, hoist, long line, fast rope, rappel, and more. They can assist your program with standardization and safety checks or just an FAA annual refresher. With the certified flight instructor pilots and experienced crew, they are ready to help your agency keep up to date with current techniques, rules, regulations, and equipment. Plus, right now, SR3 is offering 10% off anything in their web store with the promo code, all capital letters, Real ResQ, REALRESQ. Plus, they are offering another 10% from their partners Petzl and their equipment. All you got to do is send an email to info@sr3rescueconcepts.com, mention this podcast, and they'll take care of the rest. And Airwave. What if I told you that you could train harder for longer and recover faster just by wearing a mouthpiece? I know, I questioned it too. Then I gave it a try. The Airwave Performance Mouthpiece is a breakthrough in performance technology that is scientifically proven with over 15 years of peer-reviewed, published research at the Citadel to open your airway by 25% for improved breathing, resulting in a 20% decrease in respiratory rate, an increase in muscular endurance, and 50% reduction in cortisol levels post-workout. Now, what does this mean to me? Well, now I'm able to train harder, recover faster, and be even more prepared for when that SAR alarm goes off. You don't need to take my word for it. Try it yourself and see how you can use your breathing to your advantage. Go to airwave.com or visit them on Instagram @airwave to learn more about it. Then, when you're ready to give it a try, Because you heard about it here at the Real Rescue, you get 10% off with the promotion code Real ResQ, RealResQ. In this episode of the Real Rescue, we are joined by another South African. He would be our third guest from this institute known as the National Sea Rescue Institute, the NSRI, out of South Africa. These guys go from out in the ocean to shoreline to inland. They do it all, and it's all volunteer. So please welcome our next guest and his incredible stories, Mr. Jarrod Garber. My name is Jason Quinn. I am United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer number 500. These are my rescues and rescues from those of us that put our lives on the line every day so others may live. This is the Real Rescue Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Real Rescue. Today, I've got another guy, which we actually already know he was coming because I ended it with the last episode saying that this guy was coming on. Mr. Jarrod Garber. What's up, Jarrod? How are you, brother?
Hey, how you, Jason Quinn? I'm
if
great.
I was any better, I'd be hanging out with you in person right now. Just throwing that out there, all right? So, and I actually, after you and I were talking just a minute ago, you're on duty right now. Is that right?
Yeah, we're on duty. I'm just coming off duty. So we have 1 week on duty, 1 week off duty. That's how we work.
Got
it. We have a crew meeting.
Off. Yeah?
Yeah, just coming off now.
All right,
yeah,
so if
probably.
The alarm goes off, are you going to take it?
I've got about another hour, 20 minutes. You know I'm taking it.
Yeah, I do. I'm off. No, I'm not. Never off. Never off. Do that sick. I like that. Right on. Well, Hey, man, thanks for coming on and be willing to share some stories. You know, we just heard from Graham, who's down there as one of your mentors and one of the instructors there for all of South Africa. And legit, what you guys are doing down there. I mean, my hat's off to you guys. I love hearing the stories. So Kimmy G came on and told some of the stories, and then you guys are just kind of like expanding even further. So I love it. But before we get into stories, hey man, got to give me a little background. Give us a little bit of background about who you are, and then what brought you to NSRI.
Okay, boy. So I'm originally from a city in South Africa called Johannesburg, which is
Joburg.
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 Yeah, that's good. That's exactly right. Which is quite far from the ocean. And about 12 years ago, I had an opportunity for a job to move down to Durban, which is on our East Coast. And all I thought of was just surfing. So I was like, okay, surfing, we're going. So we moved down, me and my family, down to Durban. And ever since then, just anything I can do to get in or near the ocean is just where I've spent every available minute. So whatever, if it's surfing, if it's spearfishing, if it's kayak fishing, whatever it takes. Yeah. That's what brought me down here. And then a couple of years ago, what actually happened was I was literally called into the principal's office, and I thought those days were over. So I've got the best kids in the world, the best kids in the world. But for whatever reason, I got called into the principal's office to sort something out.
Because of your kids. You know?
Yeah, because
we've all been there, man. Like as a kid, you get called there at least once, or at least most of us do. And then when you have kids and you're called into the principal, you're like, what the hell?
Oh man, you think like, and you still feel like you're the kid again. Like, you go right back and said,
what did I do?
Anyway, when it all got sorted out, so on the way out, I saw they had like a magazine stand, and one of the magazines that they had there was the NSRI quarterly magazine. So the NSRI is the National Sea Rescue Institute in South Africa, and it's kind of, I guess you could call it almost like the South African Coast Guard, where we do all the rescue work, pretty much. Aside from, I know the Coast Guard has got, you've got tactical teams, and you do crime prevention and things like that as well, policing. We don't do that. We just do rescue work. But anyway, I saw this, and there was a guy on the front in a red wetsuit, and he looked really smart. And I was like, this looks like this
He
could
looks
be
really
pretty
smart
cool.
in a red
Yeah,
sweatshirt.
yeah. He looks really good.
Bro, that's awesome. That's so funny.
And then I was like, I think I could do that. I could I could be the hero, go in there, I'll do one rescue, get the medal from the mayor kind of thing. And then I'm out of it.
Wow, you had high hopes going into this right at the get-go, didn't you?
Oh boys,
Man.
I was
I'm gonna get the
misguided.
key to the
Anyway.
city and everything. Woo!
Oh man. Well, let's put it this way: if on the cover of the magazine they just had a photograph of a guy washing boats, it wouldn't have been as appealing. And that's what we spend most of our time doing.
Yeah, right.
In other words, there's a lot of work and commitment that's involved, as you're aware. I mean, that's what it comes down to. There's a lot of work and commitment. So whatever it was, I attended my first crew. I think I couldn't make it that year, but about a year later, I attended my first crew meeting, and I came in and I just saw these incredible assets on station that we had here. And it was like another world for me because, the only thing I had to do with boats was, in near Johannesburg, there's a place called the Vaal River. And we used to go wakeboarding there every Sunday, but that's not the same. It's not the same as heading out there when the Maydays are coming through in the Squall or whatever it is, on a big boat. And I don't know why. I just got more and more into it, and it wasn't easy. I can't say it was easy. It wasn't easy. Like I say, a lot of commitment. It takes a long time. Because everyone here is a volunteer as well. So it's actually amazing. I think if I recall one of your podcasts, you spoke to some of the guys in Europe, and I think they had a similar system there. Where they also work on volunteers. So you have your everyday job, and you've still got to be able to keep up with all the training, and we do a lot of training, a lot of training, and then the commitments and the studying, and so if you're going to become crew, it'll take you generally about a year at least to become crew. So we have a cadets kind of stage, then you become a trainee. We've got task books that you have to sign off with different skills and different studying. And then eventually, hopefully, once you've got that all signed off, you become crew. Then you start to actually go on rescues.
So
and then you advance through that.
Hold on, it might take you a full year before you actually get to go out on a rescue.
Yeah, usually longer, to be honest. I think it took me about a year, and I think I joined in February 2018, and I think only about July 2019 is when I actually became crew.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But that's
a lot of training.
So it's a lot of it is. And again, it's not like you're in the Coast Guard and you're doing it every single day, right? But there's so that's why it also takes so long. But it's consistency. It's just consistency. Just keep going, like everything in life. Just keep going, and you'll.
Yeah. So now, how long have you been doing this? Because it hasn't been that long.
Yeah. Right? No, so it's not that long really. Because if you think that I started in 2018 and then became crew 2019, halfway through. So it's just a couple of years. We're now sitting April 2023. And then 2020, obviously the world been crazy with COVID and all of that. But for us, actually, it was quite amazing because we're emergency services. We were allowed to go out and continue doing all of our training. So it was actually I think we did more training that year than I think we ever done. People were just looking for any excuse to get out. So our training was actually brilliant that year, and also our rescues were really, really busy that year because none of the ships were allowed into ports. So there was a lot of guys that were just getting sick on ships, and we had to do medevac after medevac after medevac. So it just piled up like crazy. Yeah, which really brought us into, we never used to do that many medevacs, and now we do a ton of them. And they're exciting. It's exciting work for us, actually, interesting enough. So,
I like that. Well, it's funny to listen to you say that now, because when I talked to Graham, Yeah, just earlier
Yeah.
today. For him, it was,
Yes.
and this is 35 years ago. So he goes
Yes.
down, he's, like, oh yeah, here's how this works. Here's how this works. All right, dude, good luck. I'll see you later. And, oh, okay. Goes down to the dock and the guy kicks him off the first one. And then he gets on the second one. He's like, all right, that won't happen again. But to go an entire year with a full dedicated program and everything, all your check off, sign off, man, I like that.
Yeah.
I like what you guys are doing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
I often say, like, I'm quite lucky. Like, we were talking a bit earlier, and I said, like, I'm like a Gen Xer, so I'm really stuck between the millennials and the boomers. I really am, like yourself. And
yeah, go Gen X.
But yeah, go Gen X. But I also say that I feel like I'm very fortunate that I joined. Part of me says, oh, I wish I joined Sea Rescue when I was so much younger. But the truth is, I feel that I was fortunate in joining exactly in this time, because as I joined, a lot of the difficulties that they had, in the earlier years have been ironed out, and they've built systems into the organization, which maybe didn't used to exist before. And our equipment is so much better. As I joined, we got our brand new Orc, which was I don't know if Graham spoke to you about the Orc, but it's our pride and joy, our big boat, 14-meter rescue vessel, which is state of the art. Our older vessel was, I think, built in the 70s or the 80s. I was on station when they had it, and the guys here, they all loved it. They're nostalgic about it. But for me, I'm like, give me the Orc any day. Any day.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes, I came in just in time for that kind of thing, and I'm lucky.
I like it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. All right, so now you've gone through all of your training, which apparently, Graham was like, yeah, you're good enough. Check. Yeah, you're good enough. Check. All right, you're good enough here. Check. We got to throw Graham a bone, just saying.
Well, we've got senior coxswains that can sign you off, so.
But so Graham, it's not just Graham.
It's not just him, no, but he's part of he heads up the training team, which is responsible for going around the entire country, all 50 odd bases, and making sure that the standards are up there. And so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. All right.
Yeah.
So now when you get all qualified, checked off for everything to go out to do a rescue, do you remember your very first rescue?
Sure, I remember my very first rescue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
man. Yeah.
What do you got?
Don't forget, this is where I get my medal and then I check out. That's my big plan, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna get the key to the city. I'm gonna be kissing babies.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Okay, well, that hasn't happened yet. But anyway.
Oh, okay. You know what? I'm still waiting too. I just throw that out there.
So anyway, what was happening was I had literally just become crew a couple of days prior, and in Durban, on the East Coast, we really have two prevailing winds. We've got the northeast, which is like pushes onshore and brings sharp, kind of choppy conditions. And we have a southwest. The southwest always brings colder conditions, and so if you have a couple of days of the northeast blowing and then it suddenly goes quiet, you just know that the southwest is going to come. But when it does come, I mean, it drops like a hammer, baby. It comes in, and you can even see the front moving. So I was out near where I live in Umhlanga. There's a pier that goes out there, a beautiful, beautiful place. And I just saw on the horizon, because I go down to the beach often, man, just to look at the sea. And I was standing there, and I saw like some sailing yachts out there. I think there was some kind of race on, or regatta. And I saw the bank of clouds far out. I thought, I just know the west is going to hit now. And look at all those sailing yachts out there. Like, I don't know. I've got a feeling in my bones, and I don't want to miss this. So I was a bit cheeky, and what I did was I got in my car, and then I literally drove to the base, and I parked outside the front door. And so that if there was a call out and they needed to move, they've got crew right there. And I wanted to be that crew. So,
oh, Jarrod, that's freaking hilarious.
Oh, man, sure enough, like 15 minutes later, like the page comes through, like crew report to base. We have to go out. There's a yacht that's in trouble. I don't know, they lost steering and whatever it was. And I was like, yeah, they get to base, and people are like, oh, the new guys here already. I don't think it usually happens like that.
Oh, that's good.
And yeah, I remember going on the boat, and and also it was our Orc, which I think I had only been on once before. I mean, I can tell you now, years down the line, I will never admit that then, but I think I'd only been on it once before. And yeah, I like, the crew comes down and they get on the boat, and like a couple of guys look at me like, oh, who's this guy? Who, like, isn't he just a trainee? And then I was like, no, like I was first there, they let me on, and hey, I just remember going out there and I was like so stoked about going out there. I remember just sitting there in the chair as we went out, and it wasn't a crazy rescue. The sea conditions were pretty on the head, but all we had to do was set up a tow. But yeah, the just like the adrenaline and that feeling, it was you know what it's like.
Yeah, but I'm listening to you right now, so come on. Like, I'm all motivated to go. Let's go. Let's take off. Let's do this.
Let's go now. Yeah, I know. And on the way back, and there were like we got this yacht under tow, and then there was other yachts sailing past us, but they had their motors on. I think this guy had lost his motor as well. And their sails were in tatters, so they were like flowing in the wind. And yeah, it was just a great feeling. It was a really great feeling. I can't remember exactly what happened when we brought it in, but I certainly remember going out and like setting up the tow and steaming back towards Durban. That was a good feeling, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, nice. Oh, that's a great first rescue, man. Like
it
full
was
boat. So you saved the whole boat and the whole crew. Well done.
Boat and crew as well. Yeah. Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Oh man.
But I'd like to tell you the second rescue if we're chatting. I mean,
Oh, let's go.
Because it had.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because it happened so shortly after that. Like literally the next day, the station commander said, "Listen, guys, I'm not telling everyone, but unfortunately, it wasn't a good story, but there's a yacht that had taken on water and was sinking off the coast, I think, of East London, further south, and they were picked up by a passing freighter. And it was a sad story because one of the crew was deceased, but two had survived, and there was a dog, and a dog as well. And this happened literally within 24 hours of the last rescue. So he's like, well, he wants to go. I'm like, I definitely put my hand up. I'm going on the next one. But whatever this operation is, I'm going. And that one stuck in my mind for two reasons. First of all, in our training, as much as we trained, I had never really been alongside a massive freighter out at sea. And you just, I don't know if you've seen it, but you come alongside and you have to be doing at least 6 knots to kind of keep the two vessels steady. I mean, I know you're a helicopter guy. I don't know how much time you spent on boats.
Barely.
Okay. So, but what it looks like, and for sure to the guy who's not used to it, is like a raging river that's flowing between the two boats. Because 6 knots might not sound like a lot, but when you're out there steaming alongside a massive cargo ship, it's a lot. And that was just blowing my mind on its own. And then we had to bring the survivors off down a pilot ladder onto our vessel, and then we had to bring unfortunately the body as well, and that was a very strange feeling for me. And then what was good, the good part of the story was the little doggy that came down. I think they sent him down in like it wasn't a basket, it was like, I think it was like some kind of nylon bag, I don't know. He was very happy.
Hey, somebody grab a little duffel bag. We're gonna throw the dog in the duffel bag.
Something like that. They just throw in, they load him on the road.
Oh my gosh.
But the weird part about that is, like, afterwards, okay, we came back, we washed up, I went home, and then I think I was in the shopping center that day, and I had the most otherworldly feeling because I was walking through the shops and I just had what to me was a very, very intense experience. It was maybe life-changing on some level. And I couldn't get my head around how everyone else is just walking around like the world is normal.
Yeah.
Like for me, that was a big mindset change that I had to get used to in terms of rescue. That you go through very intense situations, but the world doesn't. The world just carries on.
Yeah, I have no idea. Has no idea what you've just been through, what they've just been through, the casualties, the survivors, the dog.
Yeah, and that's something that you kind of have to get used to, I guess, where you're jumping between these two states of mind. Yeah. So that was my first rescue, two rescues. Yeah.
Dang. So out of curiosity, so for those that don't know, on a container ship and some of the bigger ships, they've got
Mm,
the pilot. So it's the harbor pilot ladder.
mm.
Now there's a
Yeah.
couple different ones on it, and one of them's like literally a rope ladder, rope with a bunch
Mm,
of wood that you just climb up, or there's like a
mm.
stairway off the side, and then sometimes they'll do like a hatch. They'll cut open the hatch and drive up to the hatch. Was this an actual
Yeah.
like rope ladder that they had to climb down to you at?
Yeah, this was a rope ladder. Yeah, yeah. So that's
Holy shit.
something. Yeah. So I mean that's something that's relevant because um in a lot of places in the world, I don't know about most, but I'm sure with you guys for sure, if you have to extract someone off of a ship, you send out a helicopter and you send your rescue swimmer down, and they send down a
Yeah.
litter or whatever it is, and you're
Yeah.
up and yeah, and it's exciting and it's great and it's wonderful. And we do that. In fact, I know you had Kim Geldenhuys on your show, and
Yeah. Love Kimmy G.
yeah, so I actually don't know her. I don't know her, but
Oh,
certainly,
when you meet
but
her, you'll know.
yeah, okay.
Love you, Kim. That was for you, Kim.
But I owe her a debt of gratitude because a lot of the SOPs she created for our ASR, for our, air search and rescue. And I went through that program, and I became certified, and a lot of it's because of the work that she was able to do. So I've studied her material. I've seen her name there consistently. So yeah, hopefully I'll get to meet her. It's funny that you've met the South African before I have. Uh,
She's
um,
amazing, absolutely
oh
amazing,
yeah.
and what she has done and is doing now is just incredible. So, nice job, Kim.
Okay. A
Well,
nice
you've
job.
left a legacy, Kim, right here. It's
Left a
being
legacy.
announced and like being known right now. Oh, Jarrod, this is good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's the helicopter stuff. So we do have that, but we have very few airframes available to us. We used to operate a lot with the Air Force. The Air Force have not had a lot of flight time lately. I don't know what the restraints are exactly. So that's really been difficult for us. So it's hard to stay current. But we have done, those of us that have passed the certification, we have done our training, we have done our hoists, we have done some operations, so on and so forth. But because we don't have these airframes available, we've had to find a way to go up and down these pilot ladders as safely as possible, and it's become very common for us. Yeah.
Right
Graham, I think, was very instrumental in that, as far as I'm aware, because he did train me on that.
like just going
Yeah.
up and
So
down
that's
the
the pilot
ladders
ladder.
without an issue.
Yeah. Well,
Because you're
uh,
taking are you like guiding the victims down as so you guys are walking down the ladder together, or
So the way it usually works is as follows. It's a little bit like rock climbing. Okay. So in rock
okay?
climbing, you have the lead guy that goes up without any protection, and he
Yep.
sets the protection for the next person climbing. So generally speaking, that's what we do. So we have we call him the maritime extrication technician, right? We call
Okay.
him MEX. And he'll go. You'll have the two vessels coming alongside each other, and it's much trickier than it sounds because neither one of you is a stable platform, because the ship has got its own kind of weight, and it's going up and down and it's rolling left and right depending on the conditions. And then the rescue craft has got its own separate weight, and it's rolling at a different speed, a different pitch, and on different swells. It'll ride much higher. So there's a lot of movement there. And it's like you've got to time it. You stand there as the MEX, which I say again, maritime extrication technician, and you stand there and you time the swells. And as the swells at the right height, you step off onto the ladder and you just start climbing as quickly as you possibly can to get out of harm's way, because it can happen that your rescue vessel rides higher on a swell and can crush you between the two. So it's a dangerous place to be. Yeah. But then he'll climb like the lead climber, and then he'll set up protection for either a safety line, or he'll even set up for the casualty. He'll set up a Stokes basket with all kinds of lines and systems that have been developed by the NSRI, and they'll be loaded off onto the aft deck of the rescue vessel. So
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's technical. It's probably the most dangerous thing we end up doing because of all of there's so many factors involved, because of all different movements, because of the big propellers chopping up the water behind you,
Right.
both
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
rescue vest And yeah, both on the rescue vessel, both on the casualty vessel, and yeah, it's pretty specialized. So I'm pretty proud of what the NSRI has managed to achieve with that, where a lot of places around the world have the luxury of an airframe and a helicopter. We don't have that often, and we've got to make a plan. We've got to get that guy off the ship, and they've developed
make it work with what you've got, dude. I love it.
Yeah. It's something to see. It's really good. Yeah. When you come down.
When I come down, oh man, I'm so excited. So I've already told my wife I'm coming down, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm not getting on the boat." I'm like, "Why?" Yes, you are. She's like, "No." So it's just me coming. Well, she'll probably be in the area. She'll do the wine tour, and I'll be on the boat with you guys.
You can do the wine tour. She can go on safari. She can,
whatever.
Yeah, you come with us. Yeah.
All right, I'm in.
You're in.
Oh man, that's great. Now, one of the cool things, before we get into a couple of these other ones that I want to talk about, you actually just got done with like 2 rescues or 1 rescue like yesterday?
Yeah, so literally yesterday. It's
From
funny.
the recording of this podcast, you did a call yesterday. Oh, man.
Yeah, we just over 24 hours out of it. So what happened was we had an early call for a medical evacuation off of a ship, or a big tanker. And those things are big out there, man. Wow, they're big. And everything went well, went smoothly, and we managed to get the casualty off the vessel. I'm not exactly sure what was wrong with them, but they were walking wounded, so we didn't have to set up an actual basket, Stokes basket. We could bring them down on the safety line. They were able to climb down the pilot's ladder with the assistance of our crew and so on and so forth. Just by the way, a lot of it is quite similar to the helicopters, because you have to have patter the whole time between the mech technician up on the deck, and he's lowering the safety line. So you have to have the guy standing, saying 2 meters, 3 meters, or 3 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter, whatever it was. Okay, so
wow, nice.
It's very important that anyway, we get back and we finish up washing our boats. Like I say, we spend all our time washing boats. And we're just finishing washing our boat, and our station commander comes in and he says, "Guys, we've got a call for a guy in a place called Meerbank, who's fallen on the rocks and broken his leg." And once in a while we get these kind of calls. It's not really an ocean rescue, right? But we can still respond to it. We have a great Mitsubishi Triton 4x4 that we use. So nice. It happens. Yeah, it's really good stuff. And we've got some great guys that really know how to use it as well. Some of us are not as good on it as others. I shouldn't say this, but some of us just press every button we can find, turn on all the toys and say, "Let's go."
I thought that's what they were there for. Like every siren, alarm, light, whatever. Isn't that why they install them? I mean, let's use them. I can neither confirm nor deny that I've done the same.
Anyway, this position is like, it's in an isolated beach, and you have to cross a canal to get there. So we're also told, like, just take, we do some swiftwater rescue sometimes as well. I must just at this point maybe just say that, even though we're the National Sea Rescue Institute, we get called out often if there's any kind of swift water or flooding involved as well. So because our guys a lot of them are trained in that area, in that environment. Okay, so he says take a raft with you in case you have to paddle across. So we came straight from washing up the one boat, dropped what we were doing, went in, and we found the end of the canal. And it was a bit tricky because this canal opens up into the ocean, and we're on the north side, and the casualty is about 2 kilometers on the south side on the beach. He had fallen on the rocks. What had actually transpired is he had fallen on the rocks, broken his leg, was screaming in agony, couldn't move. The tide was coming in, and a passerby had noticed him, one of the fishermen there, and dragged him up onto a higher level of rocks. But this guy was already maybe a couple hours later, and he was still sitting there. Wow. They couldn't get the guy out. By the time we got the call, I looked at one of our crew members who's pretty good at this kind of stuff. Shout out to Etienne. And I said, I think if we drive down onto the beach over here, and even though there's a big kind of concrete step, the sand is packed against it. If you can drive up that sand and cross the canal where the water's not too deep, you can get us to the south side. You can drive along the beach and get to him. So he says, he looks at it and like we know the tide is coming in. We know it's about 2 hours before high tide. And at the same time, we've got medics there, we've got ambulances. We work with a great organization, Netcare, shout out to them as well. And they said, Jarrod, listen, we've managed to find a helicopter, but it's not great for shifting patients. It's not really made for that. We can get our medics across, but we're going to need some help if you can to get the patient across. I said, Etienne, are you happy to do this? He's, okay, let's do it. So we took our crew and like you would time the waves when you're surfing.
Yeah. So
we were timing the gaps so we could drive onto the beach and around and back onto the canal, and then we'll make our way off to the casualty, which was pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean,
did you get there?
Yeah, we got there. It was terrible terrain at the end of the beach. Boom. Yeah, we got there. We found the guy. He was screaming. He was in a lot of agony. Our medics started to deal with him. The helicopter arrived with 2 more medics. They came up, from Netcare. They're really high level guys. They knew their stuff. They started giving the guy whatever they can to make him feel better. And the helicopter does another trip, can bring another 2 guys across. But like now, that's it. There's nothing else they can do. So they managed to stabilize the patient, get him onto a stretcher, get him across the rocks, down like very difficult terrain, honestly. Even with the painkillers, he was screaming. And then we get him to our mobile, and at this point there was a lot of decisions that had to be made, and maybe some were the right ones, maybe some were the wrong ones, but it all ended well, so I'll tell you that now. But
excellent. Excellent.
We were
disclaimer noted.
Yeah. We were just racing against the time. We were just racing. The tide was coming in. We couldn't get stuck there. We had to get this guy to the ambulance as soon as possible. We had a crew of people there. We had gear with us. So we ended up actually doing is putting the guy onto our roof rack of the canopy of our 4x4. Loaded up everyone else inside our raft. We stuck on the back, and we just drove the 2 kilometers, dodged a few more waves, a few more incoming sets, got the guy out there really safely, very happily, and handed him over to the ambulances, and off we went, and I'm sure he's doing really well. But that was yesterday.
And that was yesterday. Gosh.
That was yesterday, yeah.
And you washed the truck when you got back.
Oh boy, did we rush this track?
Man.
Yeah.
So when the helicopter came out to drop off crew, did they land or did they have to hoist in?
Hey, they had no hoist. They landed on the beach.
Wow,
and
nice.
So I was concerned. We had to set up a landing zone and that kind of thing. But hey, before I even had a chance to communicate with them, they came in from the seaside. And the pilot was obviously happy. He landed straight on the beach.
Nice.
And yeah, I don't know what kind of helicopter it was exactly. I'm not so good with all the models.
That's all right.
But
Helicopter.
Spinny
thing up top, tail rotor in the back. It's good to go.
Well, it's not really, because I mean the helicopter that we generally fly with in South Africa is called the Oryx, and it's a beast. It's a beast. And if that thing had to land on the beach there, we would have known all about it. Like a kilometer down the beach, it would have just blown up sand. Wow. But yeah, so
wow.
Nice. That was a good one.
Just yesterday. Oh man, I love it. That's why I do.
It was intense. If I send you the photo, you'll see of us, like someone took a photo of us driving through the canal, through the water. I think like 3 medics on the back, 2 medics on the roof, a casualty on the roof. The raft sticking out the back. It was unorthodox, but it had to be done in the moment. It was unorthodox, but it had to be done. So we did it.
Yeah, I'll take the picture. Heck yeah. I want to see that. That's freaking awesome. Oh my gosh. Well done, you guys. Man, the whole crew,
Yeah,
everybody
great
involved.
crew. Great crew. Oh, we've got such a great crew. I'm so proud of our crew, man. Honestly, I'm so lucky to be associated with the people that I operate with and work with. Honestly, yeah,
Awesome. Oh, Jarrod, I love it. Love it. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the ones
yeah.
that you and I have kind of talked a little bit about this. So this one in particular it was actually on Instagram, which is pretty cool. So this is you and your crew. And this is what it said on the Instagram. It was, our crew was alerted on 29th of August where we commenced tracking a United States registered 44-foot sailing catamaran with 3 sailors on board, experiencing rudder failure. At the stage, they were at that stage, they were 150 nautical miles offshore, and arrangements were made to meet them on arrival at Durban Point to tow them into port to mooring. And that was at 2:30 Wednesday, August 31st. You guys were launched. Holy cow! So you're launched at 2:00 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
For a 44-foot sailboat, having rudder failure with 3 people on the board. Okay.
All I can say about that one is I'm just grateful that we didn't have to, travel 150 nautical miles to meet them. But I don't know too much about sailing, but the skipper on board, he basically said, look, they have rudder failure, but he thinks he can hit Africa. Basically, he knows he can aim towards Africa.
Hit Africa. Oh my gosh. We're sailing from America. We got rudder failure. We know we can hit Africa. We're good.
So I think that no, he was better than that. But he basically, I think they were sailing from Vietnam, then to Mauritius, and then this leg was to South Africa. I think they were sailing to the United States. They experienced this rudder failure, and he was a pretty good sailor, so he could get like within a range of Durban Harbor. But like once you reach a certain point, like he couldn't do better than that. So he could use his sailing skills without a rudder to get pretty close, but not close enough to land safely. So
that's pretty good. Yeah, we went on just to be able to like use the sails and work in it, man.
Okay. Yeah, who knew? Hey, yeah. I was impressed. I was impressed.
All right. How close did he get? Because all right, so when the call came in, they're 150 nautical miles out. When you guys went out, how far out was he?
I have to use my memory here, and my memory might be a bit creative, but I think it might have been about 30 nautical miles from where we were. So not 30 nautical miles from the coast, but 30 nautical miles from where he needed to be.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
Which is the Durban harbor. So yeah, so we had to travel out to reach him. And what's great about this rescue just sticks out in my mind because we had a really solid crew. The guys had done a lot of stuff together before, which is always nice. That can't really be replaced. You can work with people, but people who you've been through some stuff with and trained a lot together with, and maybe pushed the envelope a bit far with, you have a special kind of bond which can't really be replicated. So it was a tight crew, and we went out, and we don't usually get enormous winds here like they do down in Cape Town, but I think it was gusting about 40 to 50 knots that night.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and the sea state was insane. There was those waves, I don't know, maybe, I don't want to exaggerate and sound like one of these fishermen, the fish was this big or whatever, but I really do think they were like 5-meter swells. That's what they looked like to me on the night. Wow. So it was just
about 15-ish feet.
That sounds about right. Yeah. I mean,
that's a big wave.
Jason, it's hard enough for me to have to convert nautical miles in kilometers, and you want me to do feet and meters as well.
No, I got you for that one. I got you. You just drop it, I'll convert
it. Yeah, so we were out on that night, and we managed to get out there, and we found them in the dark. They seemed pretty happy. You know, these guys had sailed an ocean, so it wasn't a big deal for them, but they were relieved to see us. That's for sure. They were definitely relieved to see us, and it was just like, I just remember being out there, and the wind was whipping, and then the rain was coming in like squalls, and the boat was up and down, and it was dark, and I was like, yeah, this is why I joined Sea Rescue. This was like the vision I had in my head when I joined. You know, this is kind of what you imagine it to be.
Yeah.
So that's memorable for me. The guys on the yacht, they said when they saw us coming, they said, they saw the oar cresting the waves. They said it looked like a movie. You know, it looked like
sick, dude. Oh, that is so cool. Oh.
Yeah. And we got them under tow. It was wild, but we did it. I'll just remember we had to throw a heaving line across to them, and for some reason we couldn't come on the windward side. I don't remember what the exact technical issue was, but there was an issue with their boat, so we had to come on the downwind side. And I remember holding this heaving line in my hand, looking at it, and it's pretty light. It's got a monkey's fist at the end, which is like a ball of rope.
Yeah.
And I looked up at our statcom. Was the coxswain was Jonathan Kellerman. Shout out to Jonathan. I was like, Jonah, I can't get this across in the wind. He's like, Jarrod, you have to. So I remember I threw it and we right back the other way. Right, because I was throwing it into, like, 40 knots of wind. It wouldn't go, and it was difficult, obviously, for a helmsman to maintain the boat in its position. But I said, you've got to try again. And on the second time we got it. The second one we got it, and they were able to bring the line across and could tow them back to Durban.
Dang, man, well done. Yeah. Gosh, again, to you and your crew.
Great crew, best crew. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to keep going because you have a couple more ones that I really want to talk about. And so this one in particular, you were actually talking about it earlier. You guys do like everything all around there, from cliff to river to out in the middle of the ocean. So this one, you guys, there was a news article that was released from NSRI Sea Rescue Magazine in autumn of 2021. And the article starts, or the headline of the article is a group effort to save a family. And then it goes on. When a family of 5 lost their way in the Krentz Cliff. Say that?
I'll say it for you. Krentz Cliff.
Krentz Cliff.
Close enough.
Okay.
It's an Afrikaans word. It's an Afrikaans word. I think it means like a craggy kind of cliff, I think, but you can check maybe with Kim Goldenhays if I'm right on that.
Well, Krentz Cliff Reserve.
Yeah.
How's that?
Krentz Kloof is okay as well.
Krentz Kloof Reserve. All right. That's terrible. All right.
If you come down here, I'll take you there. I'll teach you how to say it.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I appreciate that because that's awful. Anyway, all right. So after heavy flooding, a host of rescue organizations rallied together to find them. What followed was a harrowing search and rescue effort that extended deep into the night. So let's walk us through it. What is this all about? Family of 5 lost their way.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. So
you guys get called.
This is the wilderness area. It's not far from the city, but it's wild down there, and it's very, very down a very, very, very steep ravine. And if you get lost there, and especially at night, you can end up in a lot of trouble. It had been raining quite heavily as well, so there's some river crossings there, and the water levels had risen pretty high. we're very fortunate that, we work with a bunch of great organizations around us. South African people, I'll just shout out to the South African people, are very warm, friendly people in general, just so you know.
Right. Nice.
Yeah. And we get along, like we work nicely with a number of organizations. And I don't know who was called first or whatever it was. All I know is that at a certain point, we were called in to assist with the rescue because the water levels had risen and they needed some assistance with the swift water rescue in order to ford the river to get to where the casualties were. And that we didn't even know where they were at the time. We just knew that used a certain trail. So what I actually ended up doing, we just got a call out, like anyone who's swift water certified and happy to come assist in the search, just show up at this reserve. And hey, like most of our crew showed up,
Wow.
We had a lot of people there. And it was amazing because we were working with police search and rescue at the time. I think Metro Search and Rescue. There's an organization out there that specializes in those particular mountains. I think they're called Rescue Tech, I think it is. I don't want to leave anyone out, but I'm sure there were some other organizations involved as well. So we got out there and I learned a lot of lessons there. That's what I learned, a lot of lessons. Because lesson number one is that I learned what it means to have a forward operating base. The police guys, they had set up a forward operating base, and I was like, gee, well, that's a lesson to me, how to actually set up right. So in the car park of the reserve, they set up a forward operating base. I had learned about that from one of some of the search and rescue guys, the police guys. And another important lesson I learned there is never send all your assets out at once. So if you're going to send a rescue team, never send your whole team. Divide it in two. Send the first team out, because you might need to send a second team, and at least now you have a reserve second team.
Oh yeah.
Which is not, and because people arrive there, we think, hey, we're here to save people's lives, let's go, and everyone starts going off down. But if you all end up in trouble, was known to come save you, that was a big lesson for me.
Yeah.
That was a big lesson. The guys who taught me that lessons, they know who they are. If they listen to the podcast, I'm not going to mention their name. They mentioned it. Another good lesson they taught me there. If you want to hear lessons that I learned from, other mentors, is that 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
I've heard that a couple of times in my career.
Oh boy, I just never believed it until it started happening. Yeah, but 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So if you need forms of communication, a cell phone is good, but you need a cell phone and a radio, right? And that kind of thing. I'm sure the people listen to your podcast know exactly what I'm talking about.
I was told that with a hoist. Like you have two hoists. You need one on the aircraft and one in the hangar. Because if you got one, you got none. And I was like, oh man.
That is good. That is good. Yeah, 2 hoists. Hey, maybe you can have, I think we should have 2 helicopters.
I'm just saying. If you got one, it's gonna break, and now you're gonna need another. All right, we're going extreme money on that one, aren't we?
Oh boy. I'm not gonna make any friends in our head office yet. So that was the lesson we learned there. So I was part of the second team, the reserve team, and the first team actually went down, and I can tell you that they had big trouble locating these people. They had wandered far off of the path. They had panicked. They had gone up into the mountains, and they were very difficult to locate. Eventually, they did call for the second team to come and assist. And I can only tell you from my experience, because I wasn't in the front, but I remember just going down into this ravine that I was unfamiliar with. And on my left side, I could just sense, it was dark, but I could sense there was a sheer drop down a cliff to the side. So you had to stay quite carefully on the path. Down into the valley, you heard this rushing water. And when I took my torch and I shined, I realized there was a massive river that just pouring over boulders and that you couldn't see at all. But if you slip near that, you'd be finished. You'd be washed downstream and stuck under a strainer or something. You wouldn't survive that very easily. Got down into the valley, and our swiftwater guys had set up, a line to use to assist with the crossing. And yeah, you'll see in that article, and maybe you can make it available on your website or something. But
Yeah, totally will.
some of the, yeah, it's a great story. Some of the crew eventually, they located these people, and it was they managed to get them out. And one of the crew, she's mentioned there, she carried the child. There was a child, I think a 2-year-old child. She wouldn't let go of this child. She carried the child from the bottom of the ravine all the way up to the top.
Wow.
It was wild. It was a wild night. I just remember being so grateful that we wouldn't. It was the terrain was so difficult that I was just concerned we'd have to carry all the casualties out on stretchers, and that was not going to be fun. So I was just very grateful that they were able to kind of rehydrate and re-energize the family enough that they were able to kind of get on their own 2 feet, even though it took a very long time. I think it was the right decision. But the reason that's such a great story is because it was just so many organizations involved there working so seamlessly together. There wasn't like any egos clashing or things like that. It was really beautiful to see.
Yeah, the amount of resources that people put together to go save those in need. Yeah,
it's incredible.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's incredible is a great word to use, because that's exactly what it is. People go out of their way.
The
fishing
even like I said,
world, like offshore and all the fishing community. If there's a mayday or something happens over to another vessel, like everybody rallies together to help them. It's
everyone rallies.
Yeah.
It's insane. And like this, like a good lesson there as well is that at the end of the day, it's like how many crew literally were assisting the people out of the ravine. I don't know, maybe 5 actively carrying and assisting, maybe, and yet you had 50 people. But without those 50 people, it would never have worked.
Right.
It couldn't have happened.
Yeah.
It's that whole the whole framework around the rescue that allows the rescue to actually take place.
Yeah. Starting with the command center. Hey,
right. Forward operation of the command. 100%. No, 100%. No. Shout out to I'm sitting now in our ops room, which is where we run our operations from, our local operations, and the guys that sit here and make sure that the rest of us are out safe when we're on the water. Keep track of where we are, keep updated. Manage the rescue from here. Shout out to them, absolutely. Often maybe they're kind of not congratulated. No, they don't get the spotlight as much as the guys jumping out of helicopters and driving the boats, whatever it is. But hey, they deserve it. They deserve it.
There's a lot of the dispatch and everybody that I've ever dealt with. There's a lot going on that behind the scenes that you don't see. Yeah. So I'm with you totally. I love my dispatch.
Yeah.
Man, good job. Got the whole family out with 50 people.
Woo! The whole family. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Hey, the next morning I hadn't slept the whole night. I remember I drove to Joburg to see my family. I remember I was like so high on adrenaline. I was like, oh yeah, it was great feeling. I was high for weeks after that. I didn't do much. I just walked, helped where I could, but okay.
Oh, dude, that's great. That's great. All right. Well, I'm going to go to the next one. And this is going to be the last one that you and I are going to talk about.
Sure.
I'm going to shout out congratulations to you because Meritorious Service Award was given to Station 5 Durban, right? Durban? Okay.
That's Durban, 100%. So, yeah.
And now was that the full crew or like everybody?
The whole crew. This was given to the entire station. The whole station. Yeah. This is.
So what I'm going to do is this is a bit of a long read, but I'm going to read the whole thing, and then then we get to hear right from you because you were on the crew for this one. All right, this is good. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. National Sea Rescue Institute Meritorious Service Award presented to Station 5 Durban for the prompt and effective action taken by members of the station to assist along with the national and local emergency service in multiple flood-related incidents along the KwaZulu-Natal coastline and inland caused by heavy rainfall and devastating floods in the Durban and surrounding areas from the 11th to the 13th April 2022. From 11th April 2022, days of heavy rain across KwaZulu-Natal led to deadly floods. Particularly hard-hit areas were in and around Durban. At least 435 people died across the province, with an unknown number of people still missing as of the 13th of April 2022. Several thousand homes were damaged or destroyed. Critical infrastructures, including major roads, transportation, communication, and electrical systems, were impacted by the flooding, and this damage greatly hampered rescue, recovery, and the relief efforts. In one of the deadliest natural disasters in South Africa in the 21st century, and the deadliest storm since 1987 floods, the floods have caused more than 17 billion rand in infrastructure damage, and a national state of disaster was declared. During the ongoing rescue operation, 5 NSRI stations were directly involved with assisting in the combined emergency services response to multiple flood-related incidents, resulting in a major coordinated operation between all emergency service, local municipals, national government, and community response teams. During the first night on Monday, 11 April, and into the morning of the 12th April, rescue teams from NSRI stations were inundated with emergency calls and continue to assist the flood-related incidents involving local citizens, domestic and farm animals, and wildlife throughout those first 2 days. The sheer volume of backbreaking and very dangerous work over ultimately 36 hours saw NSRI rescue crews experiencing people from collapsed houses and submerged motor vehicles, Connex, and crews launching rescue crafts into town streets littered with subsurface debris that were flooded and bursting riverbanks. Rescue swimmers reaching and rescuing trapped and injured people, and crew who operated radio and call centers to log all calls for help and direct rescue efforts to place the most needed. NSRI recognizes that the training, professionalism, and ethos of those crew at Station 5 Durban resulted in the successful execution of the remarkable rescue operation, undoubtedly saving multiple lives, and must be congratulated for their meritorious service and the best traditions of the NSRI. We salute you. Dude, what a write-up this is, man. Meritorious Service Award to you and the entire crew. Let's go back to the number here. Let's see, 435 people died, and then an unknown number of people still missing as of like 13th. What? Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So you guys are launched. I mean, just that number of people that passed away, plus the unknown people that are missing, all the people that you guys went in to rescue. So how did that happen? Like, what? I get it, rainstorm, flooding, but how did you guys get called for all that?
Wow. I have to take myself back there a little bit. I remember it was, I remember in the morning, one of our senior coxswains on the station, he put out a message on our group and he said, guys, it looks like there's some heavy rain coming, and I think we need to be prepared for some flood relief. So we did that, and our station commander said, okay, he took the time, he divided our crew up into, I think it was 3 different teams, one for the south of Durban, one inland, and then one for the north of Durban. So I was leading the team in the north. And again, like I say, we're very fortunate that we have a lot of rescue organizations that we work with, and we all support each other. So there were a number of organizations involved in this, but I can only tell you from where we were. I can't tell you from much higher up than that. That night it did start to rain, and boy, did it rain. It rained and rained and rained, and then rained, and heavy, and rained and rained and rained. So we have a small satellite station to support our main station in Durban, and that satellite station, it's got a vehicle and it's got what we call a jet rib. So a jet rib actually also, I think it's invented by NSRI as well. It's if you took a jet ski and a rich inflatable and you married the two together, you end up with, that's really the head of a baby. They have
So Graham was actually talking about that. That's what that.
Did he talk about it?
Yeah, he totally did.
Good.
And
Man.
the what he said about it is like everybody looked at us like, "What is this?" And now we're just like, "Let's use that. Let's just keep it just the way it is. It's ugly, but it works."
Oh man, that machine! Oh my word, that machine's incredible. But okay, you've spoken to Graham about it. I won't get into it. So we operated only that night. And I can only tell you again from my side, you'll have to speak to all the other teams who had their own experiences. But I just remember our first call was to a rural area. And in the rural areas outside of the city, people build their houses just on the mountainside, and they're not constructed necessarily very, very well. And they're poor people. And the first call out was for a structural collapse. We had to go find the mountain, then hike down into the valley. And as we were there, like the rain was coming down more and more, and there were mudslides coming down, cutting through the mountain. And this is not stuff we've really trained for, because how do you train for something like that unless you're actually in it? We made it across to the house. Unfortunately, the house was collapsed. There was 2 people that were, but buried under like tons of mud. There was absolutely nothing that we could do. Fire joined us. Police Search and Rescue joined us. We joined by our sister station in Belito, Station 41. We couldn't do anything. We tried to extricate the family. They didn't want to leave. We had to make our way back. Just to make our way back, we had to set up water safety with the throw bag for where the water cut a gash down the mountainside and was just flowing across there. The mud was up to our thighs. That's how it started. We then made our way back to our base. To wait for the next call out. And we started getting call outs in, there's a little place called Mshloti, which is, if we're in Mshlanga is a Zulu word. It means the place of reeds. So and it's based, because there's the Mshlanga River runs through there. Then up there, the next kind of town is called Mshloti. Beautiful, beautiful little town. They had been experiencing some pretty bad flooding already during the day. And we went in to try and assist where we could. And when we got in there, it was just chaos. There was mudslides. Now, you've got to understand, this is it's a tourist destination. It's well built up. It's beautiful apartment buildings. It's beautiful homes. And the mud had just slid down the mountain and covered up, all the parking garages were like just full of mud. The cars were lifted up by the mud, crushed against the ceiling of the parking garage. You couldn't access it. You couldn't get through it. We started getting calls that were being dispatched to us. It was just hard to find anything. So we first started kind of going door to door. We tried to walk down the street. The mud was so thick and so sticky, you could not physically walk through it. You could not. Wow. We had to walk down onto the beach, and actually through the surf surge, we had to walk through the surf, as a group. To try and get to the buildings. And then we just went kind of door to door looking at all the buildings, just so people would, to see if everyone was okay. But you'd come to a beautiful apartment building and it's just filled with mud, the whole entrance hall. You have to kind of find your way through the stairs and go and see people, are they okay? And at that stage where we were operating, the people were pretty much good. They were safe. They were some were drinking a bit, I guess. What else
what else you can do? Pass the
I don't know. They were treating it like a bit of maybe they were there on vacation holiday.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
that's what we're gonna say.
And exactly.
They were having mudslides. That was an awful joke. Awful.
That's bad. Don't cut it out though. Don't edit that out.
Oh, terrible. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. And then so we were going from door to door just to make sure that everyone's okay. And then we had to make difficult decisions. Do we try and extricate people from where they were? But to extricate them at that stage would mean literally taking these people and walking them down into the surf and guiding them through the surf, coming out the other side, and then they had nowhere to go. So we had to make the decision that they were safe where they are at the moment rather than to extricate them.
Yeah.
So that was a tough decision, but we had to make it, and we just gave them the choice, and they made their choice. The next call came in, there was another structural collapse. There was someone stuck under something up on the mountain. And what had happened next is, so we got called to someone was stuck in a structural collapse, and I took my crew, went up in our vehicle, and we were walking along the road, and I looked down, and at my, a stop sign, a stop sign, a street sign?
Yeah.
The stop sign, so much mud had flowed into the road that the stop sign was at my knee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the stop sign was at my knee. And we were trying, we reached a point where we knew we had to cross it was a river. It wasn't supposed to be a river. It was just the road, right? But now there's a river of water coming down that mountain. And on the other side is where the structure was. And I looked at my crew, and, we had to make a call. Do we cross this? Don't we cross this? And at a certain point, my crew says, oh, I can hear the trees are like collapsing. Trees are collapsing. And I looked at him, I said, those are not trees you're hearing. Those are walls that are collapsing. And that entire mountain, exactly where we were standing, was being washed away. Houses were falling into it. The apartment buildings were falling into it. Over the next day, I can send you photos of that as well. You won't believe the destruction that it caused there. We were very fortunate that I was able to whistle, and I had a safety whistle, to shout across to the people on the other side and shine our torches. They had managed to get to this person and to extricate them. So fortunately, we know that he was okay, and there were no lives lost there in that area. From there, we moved on to the next the next area where we knew our crew was operating. They were launched. We have a 4.7 tiller arm, a little rubber dinghy. They had launched that in the streets. They were extricating people out of taxis. There was our sister station, station 41, had their jet ski running through the streets there. This was we talk about highways. We're not talking about So we went, and then we were limited where we could go, where we couldn't go. We just tried to follow wherever we were directed to. We went back to the base at that point. After that, to kind of regroup and everything, and the rain started slowing down. There wasn't much that we could do. We had a break, but I know that our other crews were working through the night, but we were also cut off from communication, so we didn't really know what everyone else was doing or what else they needed. Sometime in the morning, early in the morning, I'm pretty sure it was still dark, I got a call from a station commander to please go and assist the crew on the south side of Durban. We went there, and he said, take your jet rib with you. It's this vessel that we have, and see if you can assist there, because people were getting calls. Our south side crew was getting calls about people stuck on the roofs, an elderly couple that was stuck. They were climbing up to stay. They were just under roof level, and so we made our way down to that direction, but we couldn't cross because the roads were raging rivers. And there were literally shipping containers floating down the highway, like you won't believe it. Shipping containers, big, 20-foot shipping containers floating down the highway. At a certain point, we were going to launch our vessel into the road, into the street there, but then there was no one we could really see, so we didn't want. You had to make decisions not to endanger your crew for no reason. These are hard decisions to be making.
No
at
doubt.
the time. Yeah, and then fortunately we were able to. The Durban port was able to actually. They sent out their helicopter, and we ended up doing our crew. Then we set up a landing zone, and we managed the landing zone for them. I was like, okay, at least I'm grateful that we learned about landing zones and how to manage landing zones, even if I don't get to go in the chopper this time. Yeah, but. No, but well done to it was the police search and rescue guys that were crew on that chopper, and they just started ferrying people to our landing zone, up and down, up and down, up and down. And sure enough, that old couple, that old man, that old woman, they were one of the first people that actually landed in our landing zone. We took care of them after that. They were saved. There's too many stories to really tell, you know, from in
heck,
this
over
industry.
3 days of just pouring rain and flood work and river. I mean,
It's crazy, man. It was
wow.
crazy. It was crazy. Again, there's probably some YouTube videos and stuff I can send you. You can look at. You can get
Send it
some
for
idea of
sure.
what. Yeah, I'll send you a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Well, you know what? Mad props to you and your entire crew and the whole station.
I told you we got the best crew, man. I told you we got the best. I'm so proud of our crew.
Man, this is incredible. I'm
privileged
psyched
to be a part of them.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for sharing all these stories with us and just giving us a little glimpse of a little South African stuff that you guys do down there, because it's incredible. So,
well, that's kind of why I reached out to you, because I'm just amazed at what the people here do with the resources that they have. And it's kind of off the map, you know, in many ways. People don't get to hear what the guys are doing here, but they've got their own stories to tell, and there's some impressive stories.
So all you guys that are listening right now, call me. I want to hear them. I want them. Because I really can't get enough of this stuff. I absolutely love it. And again, 3 days of just doing flood work and relief and efforts. When you start talking about guys from the States, you talk about Katrina or some of the other stuff. I mean, you guys have the same stuff down there. The stuff has happened up in Europe, and I want to hear about it.
And you probably didn't hear about it. Yeah.
But I want to hear about it. So that's what
I know you do, man. I told you that's one of the reasons I love your podcast. I love how excited you get to hear the stories. I love it. No matter what the story is, you get so excited, and I get excited when I hear them.
Right? Because they're freaking amazing. Yeah.
Because you're freaking amazing.
All right, Jarrod. Well, I got to ask you, you've been doing this for 5 years. You've had some incredible rescues and stuff, and you've been called out on some stuff. So out of your 5 years, what would you tell guys that are just wanting to get into this, or that are fresh right now in your 5 years? I mean, you have a long career that you're looking forward to do from here on out. So give me a little something. Like give everybody else a little something. What have you learned?
Gee whiz. I can't even tell you what I've learned, because I've learned so much. I've where do you,
I like that. You know what? Just be a sponge.
Yeah. Just be a sponge. I can tell you two things. First, I can tell you that I've been privileged in my life to be able to do a lot of different adventure sports and interesting things. But my little girl, she told me, she said, "Daddy, sea rescue is the best thing you ever did." Right?
That's awesome.
So that I can tell you, and I can definitely tell you that you will get out of this kind of service or whatever, work, whatever you want to call it. You will get out as much as you put in. In fact, you'll get out more than you put in, but you'll only get out in relationship to how much you're willing to put in. So the more you put in is the more that you're going to get out. And that you can take to the bank.
You know what? I can't argue with you, but I'm in. Heck yeah. You put in the effort. Do the work.
Do the work. Be consistent. Don't stop. Just just keep going, keep showing up, keep doing the work. And before you know it, I'll tell you, the other day, I mean, I looked around on one of our rescues. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I looked around, and the crew that I was surrounded with was what I considered to be junior crew. But they were running this entire, and I consider them junior crew because we kind of came through the ranks together. And that some of them a bit ahead of me, some a bit before me. But suddenly, our older mentors, usually they were always around. They weren't there on the rescue with us. So before you know it, you turn around and you're actually running the rescues, and you think, gee, how did I end up over here? I just wanted to kind of tag along, but show up consistently, do the work, and you'll get way more out of it than you put into it.
Jarrod, that is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that one for sure. You wanted to tell everybody one more thing before I let you go, and I don't totally remember what that was, but you probably know what it is.
I know what it is. Everyone is listening now. I want you to know that when that SAR alarm goes off, those who are in distress, are praying for a miracle. They are going to get you.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Jarrod, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on here. Thank you so much for the stories and the knowledge drop. I cannot thank you enough. One of these days, I am coming down to South Africa. I'm going to hang out with you guys, and I hope that I can sit there and you guys can show me everything that you guys do, because I just want to get in it. Like, that's what I want to do. All right.
And we want you to come. We wanted you to come, and we want to spend time with you. So
done. We'll make it happen.
Done and
awesome.
Done.
Brother, thanks a bunch, man. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Go. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Real ResQ Podcast. Please take a minute to like, subscribe, and hit that share button. I'm pulling chocks and taking off. But before I go, if anyone out there has a rescue story they would be willing to share, I would be humbled and honored to have you on as a guest. Or if you have any questions about rescue or anything else we talk about here, send an email to jason@therealresq.com. That's Jason at TheRealResQ.com. You can also check us out on our web pages, therealresq.com, our Facebook page, and our Instagram page @TheRealResQ. Again, a special thank you to all of you staying on the watch today. Always remember, when that SAR alarm goes off, those in distress are praying for a miracle. They are going to get you. Until next time, fly safe and swim hard.